What's going on, guys? We are here live, Kings of Lending podcast, back again with Naomi and a special guest, Jeremy Looby from Las Vegas, Nevada. We're super excited to have Jeremy on the podcast today. He is an expert in his field and he is in the Las Vegas area, so he's a master of his craft, and we're really excited to have him on the podcast. And of course, without further ado, Jeremy Looby.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, appreciate it.
No, just to get it out of the way, why they call you Batman?
Why they call me Batman?
Yes, I heard they call you Batman, so tell me more about it.
Okay, so Victor and I, we're like Batman and Robin, right?
Exactly.
We're always coming to the rescue.
Wow.
You know, in this business and what we do, like every scenario is different. There's so many moving pieces, and when you have a trusted partner that you can work with, you know, that knows what they're doing on both ends of it, me on the real estate side of things, Victor on the lending side of things, we are the superhero team.
I love it.
So I throw up the bat signal every once in a while, and then we come to the rescue.
I love it. I feel like I should create for you guys a logo like that. That's actually would be a great marketing. I love it.
Yeah.
Throw it in the
Amazing.
sky, come to the rescue.
So tell me about it. How did you get into real estate?
It was just kind of by a fluke, actually. So I was running a family barn restaurant in Guam, actually. So I'm still licensed in Guam.
Wow.
And I still have my real estate business out there. But me being a people person and it's just easy to talk to, and wearing several different hats in the bar business, I met a lot of realtors and brokers that became good friends of mine, and I was handing out referrals left and right. You know, Guam's very military heavy, right? So a lot of military moved to Guam. They'd come into the bar, have some food, have some drinks, and I just was handing out referrals. You know, somebody would ask me, "Hey, how about this? How about I need to buy a place? I need a place to rent, whatever it is." And fast forward, one of my realtor friends said, "Hey, why don't you just get your license, right? Take the course, get your license, hang it up part-time, learn a new trade or a new business." And that's how it started, and then quickly turned into something that worked out really well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that's pretty cool. And so being on the island selling real estate, like how does that, I mean, now you're in Vegas, things kind of move a little bit quicker. Like share with us what is your experience in Guam as opposed to now being in Vegas when things move a little faster?
The transition.
Yeah. So I mean, in real estate overall, right? As far as you got your contingencies and your appraisals and timelines or cash purchase. For the most part, it's the same language and the same process. In Guam, though, it's a much smaller community, right? You know, total population, including the military, is about 180 to 185,000 people.
Oh wow.
So it's a very small market. So anywhere there's typically on a year to year, there's anywhere from 400 to 600 licensed realtors in Guam, rotating in and out. And the rule of thumb pretty much stays the same, right? Like roughly 90% of the business is done by 10% of the licensed agents and brokers. And same thing I'm experiencing goes for here. So to answer your question, it's relatively similar, but it's very slow in Guam. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like here in the States, things move at a much faster pace, which is why I wanted to come out here in the first place and expand and improve my career, because a typical closing, right, from somebody to purchase a property from start to finish in Guam, if they're getting a loan, it takes about 60 to 70 days, which is quite a long time. One thing I would like to say, though, about, Guam versus Vegas, so far my experience here in Vegas, and maybe it's just the States, a lot of things seem so transactional. Like, there's not a lot of real human interaction where there's relationship building. In Guam, because the community is so much smaller,
Right.
You work with the same people over and over and over and over again,
Right.
and so the community's tighter. Things seem a little less shady, if that makes
Right. You're kind of
For
more
sure.
an organic hub.
Right.
And everyone knows each other, so to speak. Maybe in like, if you get referred, it's like, oh, Jeremy did a great job. I trust Jeremy, so like we're gonna use Jeremy.
Yeah.
And like what you're saying, like out here in Las Vegas or Orange County or wherever you're at, states, like here, there's a lot of transactions, like moving money. You got online giants like Zillow,
Right.
people coming in, like, I don't know who I'm working with, but like if you meet them face to face, like you do always, like up front, that's where I think you shine,
Yeah.
So,
And that's what I always told everybody, coming out here to shopping
Yeah.
different brokerages and looking for where, I wanted to
Yeah.
plant myself. Like my strong point has always been just meeting people and just being a good human and an educator, right? It's to me it's not just a transaction, and not everybody's going to be your best friend at the end of the day, right? And so you got to be able to wear different hats and feel everybody out. It makes it feel good though, like in this business when you can find somebody like you guys, right? And we're a team now. Same thing when I'm working with buyers or sellers or even other realtors and brokers. So it's nice to be able to build the relationship. Some people, it's not going to happen, and that's just what it is. And
well, that's the fun part about the business. You get to work with whoever you want and wherever you radiate. And that's like, that's what you're going to get, that's what, and it's, not taking anything away from like where we've grown is like, we want to work with people that want good advice, and it's like, if you're a good person, you deserve great advice. So like, that's exactly where, your business model sounds like it is, and it is, right? So, yeah.
So my other question that you actually already partly answered was, how did you become so successful? And I understand that part of the success is just being you and being real and just being, humble and amazing human. But what do you think what difference you from other people?
be a chameleon, right? You adapt to,
Love that, yeah.
adapt to, who you're working with. Some people, they're short and they're dry and that they want to keep it strictly business. Other people, right, where like for example, I'm working with a bunch of people right now who are working on things to actually get qualified, whether they're working on fixing their credit or saving up some more money for a down payment. I don't put those people to the side until way down the road, and then maybe I'll get in touch with them again later. I stay in touch with those people, right? Like nurture them, right? And that even like I have a dinner set up with one of our clients that we've been working with. Things didn't work out on the first place he wanted to purchase, but I related to them on just a friendly human being level, and I got that same vibe back. And so you keep building those relationships, so then it doesn't feel like it's just a transaction, right? I get to know people's kids, their pets. If they golf, we go golf. I mean, so it's just, to me, it's a lot of that. Like when I first started in the business, I was new and learning, and there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn, right? And one of my clients, I'll never forget this. He said, so I helped him buy his first place, and then we slowly became friends over time. And as I improved in my business, when it came time for him to sell his property, he said, what did he say? He said, he goes, man, I don't know what happened or what you did, but he's like, you're totally different now. When I first met you, he goes, all I saw was a suit.
Okay, yeah.
That's what he said, right? So very like robotic, very transactional, just, just
Black and white,
just step by step kind of thing. And so yeah, just kind of opening up and being me is just, that's
Your
what's done it
biggest
for me.
power is to be you.
Yeah.
And
I love
think
it.
that's what confidence comes into place. Like tremendous confidence, it comes with a lot of knowledge. So like going through, the years and the experiences, I think that's why, you could finally be who you are on a professional level, but also as a human being, just
Sure.
advising. I think that's also something you've mastered. A lot of people can't tap into that because they think, oh, I got to be this guy, like you said, suit and tie, be professional, but like the same person is like doing whatever they want on the weekends too.
Right.
And then they're, they have suit and tie too, so they want to relate in a way where you guys could all connect. And I think that's the root of being a chameleon.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to adapt with the transition from Guam to Las Vegas? I understand that since this market is so different, was it easy for you to just go in Vegas and kill it straight away, or was it a lot of like new information, study? How did that go?
The transition was pretty smooth, but it took a lot longer than I was expecting as far as like getting my license. The cool thing was like I didn't need to take the national portion of the real estate test. I only needed to take the state because I had X amount of years under my belt. I was very involved with the association back in Guam. I chaired some committees. I did some pretty cool things. I was very involved. It was pretty smooth. But in terms of really getting things off the ground and getting things going, I mean, my wife and I came out here with, we know some people out here in Vegas, but not enough where I could rely on, hey, my friend's parents own a bunch of properties and they're here, take over and handle it. I mean, I literally...
So it's just waiting for you that it's not.
Yeah, I literally started from scratch. And then too, like, everything that glitters ain't gold, right? Like, that's the easiest way that I can put it. And what I mean by that, and just if I could just be real, right? I was interviewing a lot of different brokerages from Guam, just to figure out and set myself up where I want to be here. And where I went first was just smoke and mirrors. Promised me this. We got so much
in Vegas when you came
in
to
Vegas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, hey, we have so much business and we don't have enough agents. With your experience and your personality and everything, you're just gonna kill it. And when I got there, it just, obviously I'm not gonna say who. But when I got there, it just wasn't what it was. It was very uncomfortable, and so there was a couple of different people that made me seem like, okay, this is absolutely where I want to be. I'm gonna get help. It'll help me launch quicker. That's not the case. It took me a few months of just really, really, really grinding it out and networking and meeting people and just being me. And now things have been snowballing.
Congratulations, you obviously did a great job, as we can see. Congrats, you guys are a dream team. And could you tell us a little bit about your ranking for this month? Because I think it's very impressive and it's worth to say.
Coming into the end of February into March now, second in California. So
nice.
Loan office in California. But I mean that's that's the start of the month. So we're gonna keep building the pipeline up and start serving more families. So our goal is to serve at least 10 families a month. And we're getting there.
Right.
Monthly. So we know we're excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But it's easy to see, right? I mean, we when we first met, we hit it off. There was a good vibe there, and obviously you want to work with people you trust. So that goes a long way. I'm sure there's other agents too. Probably like myself that throwing you a bunch of business and killing it.
So Jeremy, tell us the most maybe funny or terrible story with your experience with real estate.
I got two things come to mind. One that was kind of funny, but also kind of scary. Okay. So back in Guam, I was, and I say fortunate because these great people and a great network, and I worked with a lot of FBI agents in Guam. They come and go just like military do in Guam. They come for 4 or 5 years or whatever, and then they go to another spot, right? One of my clients in the FBI were at the closing table. And I can't remember what the situation was, but our escrow officer at closing was like, well, if you just do this, then we can just kind of basically turn a cheek and not, it was something like that could be potentially pretty serious. And my buyer, right, was like, him and his wife, they go, no, we want to do it legit. We don't want to do anything shady, right? And I'm just sitting there with my mouth closed, because this escrow officer kept pushing this thing.
Was a notary there too?
Yeah. Fast forward, she goes later in the conversation. She goes, so what do you guys do, if you don't mind me asking? And he goes, I work for the FBI. Oh, really? What do you do exactly? Mortgage fraud. And here she is, trying to push, something shady for him to sign. So that was like a shit my pants kind of a moment for me, because I'm in there, right? You're just experiencing it.
You're in the background's
Damn it! I need my Batman suit on to fly away.
You're calling their sister. Hey, Susie's about to get arrested. And I'll call her sister. Tell her to leave the office. Say, I'll be right back. Stop signing whatever you're doing, escrow officer.
My heart just started beating just thinking about it. Because
intense.
It's
serious.
And FBI or not, it's do things legit. Yeah. Don't cut corners. It's like builders and contractors. Like, why are you going to cut a corner? You're just going to create a problem when they get the home inspected. Like,
Exactly.
you know,
Right.
I think one other thing actually that happened to me recently, I'll touch on. So, like, safety, man, you got to be safe out there.
Yeah.
And in this particular situation, it's so easy these days to not see your clients or who you're working with for like an extended period of time. What happened was I had this seller. I had a seller lead come through to me.
Okay.
Name, number, information came through a very, very legit lead generation source that we use, and I had a short conversation with this person, and they go, "Oh yeah, my property's at so and so, but here's the address. I want to sell it. You came highly recommended to me.
No questions
No
asked.
questions asked."
Yeah.
And it was just a really quick thing, and she goes, "I'm out of town right now." She goes, "But I would like to get it on the market while I'm away. That way you can do your photos or because I'd like to do a little pre-inspection,
Pre-inspection.
test the outlets, look for certain things that we could probably save when a home inspection comes, right?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'll schedule you to meet with my friend in the neighborhood that watches after my house." I mean, like,
All the T's
just-
are, all
dude,
the stars are aligning at this
it's
point.
set up, right?
It's
And
like-
I'm like, okay. So I even went further, checked the tax records, the name matched up. I mean, everything that I could see
Like, this
matched
person's
up.
experience in the fact that like I don't have to be there. Let this guy do his thing.
Right.
I trust this guy. You're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is a dream
Right.
scenario.
And
yeah.
and it's not super uncommon. Like
Yeah.
in Guam, for example, in my Guam business, right?
Yeah.
A lot of foreign investors. A lot of them you don't ever see. You know what I mean? They're purchasing property through a corporation or an LLC or a trust or something. And it's just done digitally because everything now, you got dot loop and DocuSign and I think even zip forms now you can digitally sign things and everything. What I'm getting at though is all of a sudden it became really difficult for me to get this person to respond to me. And I'm thinking, okay, well, she's out of town doing on business. Okay, let me just pop by the house, take some exterior photos for now, because a listing agreement was signed too, by the way.
Wow.
Interesting.
So everything was signed, disclosures, listing agreement, everything.
It's ready to go, ratified and all.
Yeah, I saw a car in the parking lot, and I thought, well, this is weird because I don't know if she's home or if the friend is staying here or whatever. So I didn't knock on the door. Just took a couple photos, left. Things started getting weirder as time went on. A couple more days went on. No response, no response, no response. So I went back to the house. I had a funny feeling, and I just knocked on a neighbor's door, and I go,
This is when Batman comes in.
yeah. I'm like, I knocked
Yeah.
on a neighbor's door, and I go, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you. And this is kind of weird, but I'm so and so's realtor. And do you know if she's in town or not? And the person kind of looked at me funny, and she was like, she's not selling her house. She's like, I know her very well. She's never mentioned anything like that. I went, okay. Wrote a handwritten note on the back of my car, put it in an envelope, put it at the front door. I got a text message about 2 hours later saying, I don't know who you are. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my
I
God.
never spoke to anybody about selling my house.
Wow.
And I ended up getting on the phone with her, and her name is the name of the person that came through to me. I mean, so just huge case of identity theft. I know that was a long story to answer your question, but
I love it.
it's freaky. Like, people will go to crazy extents to
Whoa.
try to.
I wonder if they were
That's the
I
craziest
wonder
thing
if someone
I
was
heard.
like trying to like obviously messing with somebody. Like, I wonder if she had it out with anybody.
Either that
It's like they're
or
calling them like, hey, we're scheduling this. Go there, do that. Like, I don't know. I mean, that sounds like someone was obviously like doing something intentfully.
well, what I've heard too, though, is like people that try to scam people like that in real estate, instead of using an escrow company and working through a title company with an escrow officer, they'll do it outside of escrow, and then just go down to the county's office and do the transfer and recording of the deed and
Deed.
stuff without a title
Oh
company.
my god.
Oh my God. That's
So yeah,
I'm so glad you shared it because you are spreading awareness through people, so they know how to, protect themselves. But that's pretty crazy. That's like the craziest I heard through all this podcast is.
Someone's trying to do some fishy things around here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Part of me is a little embarrassed, right? Because I feel like maybe I could have done better, right? But I mean, like when I first started telling the story, all the stars,
You knocked on
everything
someone's
was there.
door.
Yeah.
You walked across the street, knocked on someone's door, and you just did a little more due diligence. And I think that's
I think you did great. Yeah.
I feel like someone just walked away and be like, okay, like I'll try again next week, but like not like use their defense senses.
Right.
I'm getting ghosted for a few days. Haven't heard anything back. That's okay,
Yes.
normal. But after a listing agreement signed and
Right.
so to speak, like no response, I think it warrants like action to go. Call the FBI with you. Call the FBI guy to get me back into the shop.
Right.
I think you'll be actually surprised how many realtors don't go to their houses and they don't pre-check. I think actually majority of the realtors, they don't do it. So I think you really stand out with that.
That's also something, when
That's
realtors don't do like your pre-inspection from the listing, like that's where you're going to have like a shark of a realtor on the buy side helping a buyer get a killer deal. And like when it comes to negotiation on the purchase contract, like if that listing agent didn't do their due diligence, like not saying that we're going to be aggressive, like we want our buyers to get the most benefit, right?
Sure.
And of course the sellers to be fair, but like concessions, closing costs, that could be negotiated up front. But if you're a grade 8 listing agent and you're doing a pre-inspection, like a lot of that cost can be disclosed up front.
Yep.
And it mitigated with a over gouging quotes in escrow.
Right.
So like if something costs like $2,000, last thing you want is the buyer's agent come with like 3 quotes from people that they know, quoting for 10, So
Yeah.
I think everything you do is great,
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I love every aspect of real estate.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do, because every situation's different. Every scenario is it's not the same. Every day is different, right? And
Yeah.
I love it. It doesn't ever get boring. But yeah, in terms of listing property, I'd say that's probably like one of my more favorite things to do. Because I get very involved with my buyers, right? As much as I can. You got to feel everybody out. But when I'm listing something to sell, I need to know it like the back of my hand. Like that's how I take it, right?
Yeah.
Again, any issues with the AC, any leaks when it rains heavy? Do you got any flooding in the backyard anywhere when it's raining? When's the last time you had your AC unit serviced? How is that? I mean, I go through everything as much as I can, right? I'm not a home inspector, so I can't, say, oh, your breaker panel has double tap wiring and you need to do that. Like, I don't go that far. But I got an outlet tester, I've got measuring tools. Like, I bring everything with me.
So like if someone
Wow.
hires you in the Vegas area, you're out there with like your testers, you're with your whole kit.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
For pre-inspection and
I put
also
the
like
Batman
showings.
belt on.
Oh my
I
god.
strap up. One time, actually,
Strap
it was so fun, dude. I strap up, and one time I actually did show up to I did show up to a listing appointment,
Yeah.
and I put a cape on.
No way.
Oh my God.
No, I didn't.
Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I thought it was legit. I think Batman is
How would
officially in
I-
the house.
yeah, with
Not
your
all
great sense
superheroes
of
wear
humor.
capes. That's what they say, and I think that's could be true in this case.
That's what he says in the morning when he leaves to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, back to the serious stuff. Like,
Sure.
yeah, I come very well prepared, right? And I'm very honest with people too, right? Like, as tough as it is to walk away from some business, like I went on a listing appointment recently. The property was listed with another agent through another brokerage. It's been sitting on the market forever. They just had a bad experience. So I went out there to take a look at the property, and the photos online looked amazing. Like, I'll give props where it's due. Like, they had it presented very well visually online. But when I got to the property, I realized it's a manufactured home that was turned into real property, which, okay, that's fine. But it was also in a 55 and up community. Nothing wrong with that, but that wasn't disclosed or mentioned on the information online. And then when I actually got into the property, I mean, kitchen cabinets were falling apart, flooring, I mean, grout was missing from flooring all over the place. There were stairs inside the house that were unfinished. And I'm not trying to, bash on this person's property. It was just very, 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 very misleading and extremely overpriced. And I brought them down to earth as much as I could, nicely and professionally. You don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, especially when another agent's saying, oh, I can get you this and I can do that. And it puts it in their head like, well, I should be getting this then, right?
Yeah.
And then it's hard to, if somebody's promising you this,
Yes.
but the reality and then the numbers don't lie. So I'm like, here's my reports. Here's what you guys are up against. Like, I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but I'm going to tell you straight, and so I walked away from the listing. I could have listed it, but not for what they wanted,
Right.
because it wouldn't do anybody justice.
Right.
So does it happen a lot for the owners or sellers to maybe hide that there's some, pieces falling apart or there's some mistakes, and does it happen a lot that they hide it in purpose or on purpose or?
So there's a saying that buyers are liars and sellers are worse. I case to case basis, right? I'll give you a good example. Something that recently happened. Just closed on a beautiful house. Great family that is growing, so they needed more space. So I listed their place for sale, helped them buy a spot. Well, the spot that they bought had the previous owner had a few cats, right? Smell wasn't bad or anything like that, whatever. We close. They get into the property. They get the keys. They hired a carpet cleaning company to come in and clean the carpets, but they went even further than just shampooing the carpets. They brought in some 5,000 lumen investigative crime scene light, and they were going through all the carpets, and apparently there was like pee and poo stains and throw up stains and all kinds of stuff from the cats.
The black light.
Yeah, the black light, like crime scene stuff, see everything, right?
Crime scene.
Crime scene.
Kitty crime.
Kitty crime.
Kitty crime
crime scene.
scenes.
But
Oh my God.
so and it was so bad that like they feel it like a cleaning is not good enough, that they need to replace all the carpet. And so like they were like, well, can you reach out to the other agent and see if the seller is willing to do anything? I'm like, in my head I'm thinking, dude, we closed. This seller got, they got their funds, everything's like gone, like it's
done.
It's done.
Transactions.
And I'm like, so part of me feels like I would love to help if I can, but there's
Wow.
yeah. So, but to answer your question, I know that's kind of like a one-off situation probably, but some sellers are very forthcoming. Like the scenario I just gave you, when I represented them to sell their property, immaculate. I mean, super deep cleaning, carpet cleaning, repainted the interior. I don't know how it works in California, but in Nevada and Las Vegas, sellers have to fill out a document or a few forms. It's called an SRPD. It's a seller's resale packet disclosure. So to the best of their honest knowledge, they have to disclose if there is or were any issues with any part of the house, whether it's plumbing, foundational, electrical, roof, whatever, right?
Nice.
Is everybody 100% honest with that? No. Some people are, but not everybody.
Right.
And that's where the importance of a home inspection comes in, You find things that aren't stated on that document and take it from there. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the price reductions come into place on our side. So if you don't do your due diligence, guys, you don't want to be having a hard conversation with your seller, because technically, that's going to come out of their bottom line.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long you been in real estate? How many years?
Oh gosh, 9 going on 10. I got my license in Guam in 2015, and been doing it full time ever since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. So what would be your advice for people that are just starting in real estate?
If you think it's easy, quick money, it's not. If you're thinking of doing it part time, don't. That's
Why
my
not?
advice.
Why not part-time?
Because you're essentially becoming your own business, right? People think, oh, well, I want to get into real estate because you can make a lot of money and have a lot of freedom and you make your own schedule. That's true when you get to a certain part of your career, right? But at first, like your family and your friends and your sphere, your circle of influence and all that stuff that know you, they're not going to immediately trust you with their $1 million property or their $200,000 property or whatever the price may be. They know you're new in the business, so you need to prove to them that you can actually do it before they'll really trust you with it. So when people say I'm going to get into the business, I never try to deter anybody from doing it, but I just give them the straight, honest facts, right? Because it costs money to get started. You have to take a test, and the test that you take doesn't teach you anything about how to do the business, right? I'm just being real for all the listeners and watchers out there. Yeah. The test teaches you about weird rules and laws and regulations and latitudes and longitudes and what the definition of erosion is and illusion and alluvion and excuse me. Yeah. It doesn't teach you how to write a contract or how to negotiate or what a counteroffer is or the importance of a home inspection or if a buyer asks a certain question about this, if you don't know the answer, how should you answer it? Well, you don't, but you find out, right? And so there's just so much that goes into it that, like, if you're not going to be 100% dedicated to really, really going all in, you're probably going to get really frustrated because there's fees and dues that you have to pay to the association too, right? So, and in Nevada, you actually need 3 business licenses, or you need 3 licenses, I'll put it that way. So one, you need to get your real estate license, which is good for 1 year, and then you have, after your first year, you renew it, and it's good for 2 years then after that, as long as you renew it. But you also need a license for the county and a license for the state. And you have to maintain those fees. Mm-hmm. And, yes, you can make a lot of money, but also taxes, right? Yeah, we get write-offs, but there's that weird... There's this weird balance of it's like a necessary evil that you want to pay taxes, right? Obviously, we want to cut it down by our write-offs, but if you cut too much off, and then you're only showing the government, let's say you had a $200,000 a year gross, but you write off $170,000 and you say, I spent it on marketing, advertising, this, that. So then you're only showing the government that you actually made $30,000 that year. So yeah, maybe you have all this money and maybe you have a lot in the bank because you wrote off a lot of stuff. But if you want to go buy a property or an expensive car or whatever, right? Good luck getting a loan, depending on the situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could go on and on. And I'm not saying this to scare people. It's just the reality of what it is.
But just like anything, like if you're half-assed into something, you're gonna get half-assed results. Yeah. So cost of entry, what you said is it's high. It costs a lot because you're building a pipeline, a funnel of people, and if you're not all vested into it, your results are not going to show. You're going to spend more money on something that you're going to keep losing on. Yeah. Because realistically, what would you say an average pipeline build would be just before you saw their first closing? What would you say? How many months you think?
Well, so I'll give you a great example. I'll tell you mine straight up.
I'll tell you mine too.
We need a little more. So I mean, even with my experience and just putting myself out there and all that stuff, I mean, it took me a solid. Let's see. It took me 5 months. Mm-hmm. 5 months to close my first. Transaction or sale or in Nevada. Some people that start out in the business, you get lucky, right? Sometimes you make those few first phone calls, and it's just
This is me.
but that can spoil somebody too, right? Because then they think it's that easy all the time,
right? And mind you, this is coming into you've had the experience before, and now you're coming into a whole new market that's totally different than someone coming new. So if you're brand new and you're starting, it's not to discourage you, but just to show you the emphasis of how much effort you need to put into something. If it's not real estate, if it's something else, you got to be all in if you really truly want it.
100%.
It took for personally 8 months for my first deal to fund, and that was when I came into the business making phone calls every day. Yep. 6 a.m. in the office, didn't leave till 7 o'clock at night, or even sometimes later, just so I get organized for the next day. Mm-hmm. But because the lack of knowledge and trust, perhaps if you don't know everything, people ask you questions, you could lose a deal if you don't, call them back on time. So you got to be organized. B, if you don't know what you're talking about, right? And someone else is obviously going to take care of them better. So I think that you got to be all in, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think in short, you know, if you're going to get into this business, in my opinion, go all in. Expect not to make a ton of money right away. It's there, but you got to go get it. And find a brokerage that's going to actually have some education for you, right? So many places that I interviewed just coming out to Vegas didn't have education, or they didn't have any kind of lead, you know, CRM or portals set up, you know, for agents to take advantage of, or any
Framework.
any framework. So, you know, being new, this business is great. It does provide, you know, great income and some flexibility and, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, as a new person, find a spot that, you know, either has somebody that can mentor you,
Yeah.
or that has really great training. Because like I said, to pass the real estate test, I'd say probably 90% of what they teach you to get your real estate license,
Yeah.
you probably they don't use hardly ever in
Wow.
the day-to-day business, because it's more of a people business than it is, you know, in my opinion, it's more of a people business than it is, you know, just contracts, like, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously you have a lot of like life skills. There is a lot of people that is scared only to move from one city to another city, not even mention to move overseas. How do you manage when you jump from place to place, when you move? How do you manage to find your new cycles and build your new relationships?
A great question. That was it was very stressful. You know, I mean, moving sucks anyways, right? Like, even if you're moving 3 miles up the street, like, yeah, pack all your stuff, and it gets a whole process, right? So moving in general sucks, but yeah, to come from Guam, where I am very established and I have roots and I've got family and friends and, you know, everything there, was a lot. I mean, we sold our vehicles, literally sold everything we had, brought our dogs out here, and my wife and I started completely fresh. So yeah, it was a bit stressful, but it's something that I am very happy that we just took the leap to do.
Right.
You know, Guam will always hold a special place in my heart, and I will always be licensed out there. I don't see a reason why. I've got some phenomenal clients out there still that I work with on a day-to-day basis, remotely from here, and then I go back and forth when I can and when I need to. But I think, you know, considering where the market was and kind of is right now, things are a little bit slower than they were. We were all spoiled with, you know, the interest rates being at 2.6 and or whatever, right? I mean, everybody was spoiled. So I you know, and we didn't time the move based on the market either, which is kind of like for me a sign that, like, we did the right thing at the right time, even though it took me a while to get going.
Right.
Because I imagine, like, if I was back in Guam, where, like, people think inventory here in the States is pretty low for what it is. Imagine being on an island that's 22 square miles in the middle of nowhere, where it takes a year for a contractor to build a home because we're in typhoon territory. So imagine, I'm just thinking, like, the inventory there now, like, what is established as I am over there, everybody pumped the brakes as soon as the interest rates started coming up real quick. And I know some friends over there, you know, that are killers in the business that are struggling right now. So yeah.
And that's where Vegas is like, that's where Vegas, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on certain areas in the States. And knowing Vegas, like you know Vegas as well, like as rates came up, prices still somewhat stabilized.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that we're seeing more people start to relocate. So like maybe share some of your thoughts with the market in real estate or the market in Las Vegas. Because, you know, when I'm qualifying clients in Nevada, you know, we have conversations on max payment, and a lot of clients can't go over, you know, $2,500, $27, like that's very expensive for Nevadians, you know?
Sure.
But then we have the same conversation with a California client going to Vegas, and they're like, 3,000, that's it? The payment shock of how more affordable it is from California to Vegas is just a no-brainer. So the people that are making the move and having that emotional attached to where they're at currently, you know, just what you said, just like sending it. Just go for it and commit, and you won't look back. I think that's where, you know, a lot of people need your help, because coming on to like a real, like a real expectation of, you know, a move, like what's the long-term outlook, right? Are we looking for positive growth in Nevada? Are we looking for, you know, more builds, or are we looking for a tight inventory, right? So,
Well, yeah, I mean, so yeah, no, that's a great question too, and happy to share because you know, Vegas is constantly growing. I mean, it has been for years. If you look back at the
Right.
history of Vegas in general, the builders are still cranking out homes up there. You know, townhouses, single family properties. The north side of Las Vegas is actually growing quite fast. You know, everybody for some reason associates the north side of Las Vegas as being a bad part of town. There's some great areas up in the north. I also read recently that a developer from LA, actually, somewhere around these parts, purchased, I don't know the size of the land, but I believe the purchase was either 42.3 or 43.2 million just west of Summerlin for more development to come.
Amazing.
We have a rugby team that's coming to Vegas pretty soon, and I only knew that because a buddy of mine who played rugby in college invited us to a rugby match at Allegiant Stadium the other night, and it was a lot of fun. But we have a rugby team coming.
Yeah.
We've got the baseball team, the A's, right? They're set to come out.
we got the Sphere.
We got the Sphere now,
The Sphere.
which spies on you in the morning and looks through your window and like, no, the Sphere's great. We went and saw U2 perform at the Sphere. It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
What else? There's plans for like basically like a remodel and development of more attractions on the just north of the Strip. It's going to have more entertainment, more food, more, I mean, shopping, everything, and it's going to be more very high end. It's going to be nice. What else? I know there's talks of an NBA team coming out to Las Vegas. You know, I don't know how solid that is, but point is, there's still room for so much growth in that city.
I think Hollywood also is coming, right?
Yeah, there's a proposal actually for a studio, not a backlot, but like a movie studio, movie set, you know, to be built and developed in Vegas as well. And then I guess in line with that too, you know, Las Vegas was one of, if I remember, if I'm correct, fact check me on this, somebody. One of 3 markets, I think, in the nation in 2023 that actually showed some appreciation, right? Where, you know, some markets are down 5, 6, 7, 8, 10%, you know, in terms of prices. Vegas has held steady. And, you know, I feel like, and this isn't a sales push, but I feel like anybody that buys property now, between now and the end of the year, is going to set themselves up really good. I think for 2025 and 2026, you know, because once interest rates start to come down a little bit, everybody that's on the fence is going to jump off the fence, and it's going to squeeze inventory even tighter. And then there's going to probably create more competition in the market and people paying over. You know, it's just cycle of, you know, so I'm a big advocate for, like, look, interest rates, sure, they might be high and you're not comfortable with it or you don't like it. I get it. But if you love the house and if it makes sense to you and you can afford it for now, you can always refinance down the road.
Now we're talking.
And there's different loan options too, right? Which is great to team up with my partner here, my Batman and Robin, right? Like you need that, right? Because
I'm slacking
where's
on my belt.
the utility belt's missing right now.
Okay.
But no, you do need that, right? Because you know, it's like, if I had to take my best guess, I'd say Victor's probably would agree with everything I've said, right? And everything that he talks about, I agree with too. And like I learned a lot from, you know, just working so much with Victor and being on the phone, you know. You know, I guess so another thing, is like in this business, like just be a sponge. You know, you're never gonna know it all, right?
Exactly. Oh, constantly learning process, right?
Yeah.
But I have a great idea. I think our next step in the future, we should become developers. Since there's no inventory and there's so much problems, I see us all, our team in 5 years, just building and helping these people get the roof over head. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Right.
You can't go wrong with that. I mean, we got the funding, so.
And we got the funding.
If you are in the market and you're watching this right now, I need you guys to hit subscribe. go into the fund and start investing into the proposed project 2025. No, we will maybe. We'll talk about that if you guys are interested in investing alone. Okay.
Speak it into existence, man. Yeah.
Let's
Speak
manifest
to
that.
Yeah.
So Jeremy,
Yeah.
it was awesome to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Naomi and I, obviously you answered a lot of great questions. A lot of people that are watching this, they're thinking about moving to Las Vegas or are in Las Vegas or are going to be buying a home soon. I'm sure you're going to be able to answer a lot of their questions. So I'm really excited that you guys came on the podcast, get to hang out with us for the day.
Yes.
So without further ado, Naomi, any more questions?
No questions, just a message. You guys should definitely, if you are looking to purchase a home in Las Vegas, in Nevada, this is your person to go. Jeremy.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And
Yeah. Go
I was
ahead.
just going to say real quick, just keep in mind, everybody that's listening and watching, don't be afraid to speak to us, right? Like my style, Victor's style, we're not going to push or try to sell you on anything. If I could speak for myself, from an educational standpoint, right? Like if you want to know about the market or if you want to know about lending or how the process works, like I don't need your social security up front. I don't need your mother's maiden name. I don't need a DNA test. Like I don't need your firstborn child's name. Like we don't need it, right? So if you're just curious and you're a little nervous because you think you might be pushed into something, you won't be. So, talk to us. We're here to help.
Love
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy Looby, everybody, Las Vegas.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
see you guys next time.
Awesome.